What happens after death? Journeys of the soul. Life between lives. Clinical psychologist, regressologist Michael Newton, working with his clients with psychosomatic symptoms and fears, began to notice interesting points and patterns and began to work in this direction, using hypnosis, began to explore a new area not even of the psyche, but of the superconscious. Newton's book, Journeys of the Soul, became for me the answers to questions that interested me. Since there are many different hypotheses around the topic of death, which manifest themselves in the form of various teachings and religions. But how do we know what is truth and what is human fiction, conjecture? This topic is always covered in a veil of mystery, because it is literally difficult to conduct laboratory studies and experiments on volunteers with feedback. But there are certain borderline states of consciousness when a new layer opens. In some ways, this unique book gave me confirmation of certain elements from texts from ancient treatises with which I came into contact, consonance with the theoretical basis of the systemic phenomenological approach in psychology and many spiritual teachings. I studied a lot of different religions, although I myself am not religious, but you can say, I just believe. I believe that there is a higher mind, the absolute, the creator, the law. And everything is imbued with meaning even where a person does not see it due to the limitations of his thinking. It is worth looking deep into space, looking at what laws certain phenomena occur, the movements of planets, both the macrocosm and looking at something small, for example, atoms, molecules in the microcosm, and you are surprised at how everything is thought out, what patterns and orders there are. What happens during the transition from one state to another? Where does a person go at the moment of death, his consciousness? What's behind the scenes? Is there life after life on Earth? Some people are afraid to think about it, but I'm interested. After all, someday I will leave too. And by the way, remembering death, the finiteness of the time allotted to us, we can learn to appreciate life more, live more qualitatively, fully, and brightly. To be consciously in this body, in this flesh, in this incarnation. It seems to me that this is one of those books that could become support during the period of mourning after the death of our loved ones. Transform a person's personal grief into a more philosophical format that will allow the soul to accept what is happening. It can also be interesting and exciting if everything in your life is good and you strive for development and knowledge of something deeper.